Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am going to talk about the word no and how important it is that especially our leaders, ladies and gentlemen, understand how to use that word and how important it is to use that word. In addition to that, I'm going to talk about three different people. The first being the president, the newly elected president of Argentina. I forget his last name, but it starts with an M. I think it's Milei or something like that. The second person is one of my favorite YouTubers, and that is Mr. Gregory Mannarino. He has something very important to say, and it's exactly what I feel can come down the line unless our leaders understand and learn how to say the word no. The third person, ladies and gentlemen, is someone whom I feel personally is an enemy of we the people, and that is Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, along with all of the other banksters that run the world. But I digress. First, let me tell you a little story, because I know you guys love my story, don't you? When I was getting out of debt, I am thankfully in a part of my life where things have come together and I've gotten out of debt. I got out of debt before I even started doing YouTube, I think, or just as I started doing YouTube, I got out of debt, and it was a great feeling, and it still is, ladies and gentlemen, because I've always said that your most important asset is your time. And with your time, you can generate income as long as that income is not already slated to pay debt, which means that you get to keep the fruits of your labor instead of paying interest to the banks first. So when I was in the process of building our home and getting out of debt at the same time, I was known in my household as the no man. Everything was no. Can we go get this? No, we can't afford it. Can we do this? No, we can't afford it. Can we go on a vacation? No, we can't afford it. We have to pay off our debt. If not, we'll never be able to do the things that we want to do and really enjoy it. Because answer me this, leave it in the comments. Whenever you get something for yourself that's really nice, do you enjoy that something more if you were able to pay it off right away and buy it cash and pay it off, right? Or do you enjoy it more if every month you know you have to make a monthly payment? For example, that brand new car smell that you have, it kind of dissipates after about 1 or 2 monthly payments. You're never like, oh, this is a great new car smell. If you're having to make $700, $800, $1,000 a month payments I've heard of lately. It's just not the same. So I was the no man, and I wasn't very popular during that time because almost everything was no. But I've always told my children one thing about delayed gratification, and that is that if early in life you work really hard and you do those things that you really don't want to do but that you have to do, then later on in life you'll be able to do those things that you want to do. Why? Because debt has a big part to play in it, ladies and gentlemen. And what I want you to take away from this part, ladies and gentlemen, is not necessarily about who the newly elected president of Argentina is, but what is happening in Argentina and what the repercussions of the actions that the president of Argentina, is going to be taking. Because I think it could be where we see ourselves in the future should someone stand up and say, no. There is no more money, says Milei, as he announces a 54% devaluation of the Argentina peso as shock therapy plan begins. What's he saying here? One of the first actions that he did as president was tell his people the truth. He said, ladies and gentlemen, we are broke. There is no more money. And in order for us to have our sovereignty from the IMF, we have to devalue our peso. And we're going to devalue it by more than 50%. And it's not just the poor that are going to pay for it. It's not just the rich. It's going to be everyone that holds pesos. Taking a side note here, I'm sure that those people in Argentina that could afford to put away silver or gold are very happy they did so. But I digress. How does a modern country climb out of an insurmountable debt hole? And they're talking about Argentina, especially if it is already in debt to the IMF and a technical default is not an option. Well, a Bloomberg report says that the new administration weakened the official exchange rate to 800 pesos per dollar, a 50 54% devaluation. And ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying about we have to take a look at Argentina and keep our eyes on it in the future is to see how it affects them. Because when things start falling apart here in the United States of America, that is what's going to happen to our dollar. It's not going to drop by 10% or 9% a year like they tell us through their CPI, or excuse me, their CPI, their government numbers. It is going to be dropping by 50%, sometimes 100%. And that's if we're lucky, ladies and gentlemen, because the government that we have now, in my opinion, could care less than to just print, and let us, the people, the serfs, pay the price of the inflation that they've created. So if we're lucky, we can follow Argentina's footstep in saying no more. And this is what we're going to have to do to fix the problem. I will leave the link to all of these articles on a pinned comment so you can revisit them. Obviously, I don't read through all of them, ladies and gentlemen, because if not, I would have to do one different video for each article that I go over. And I'm sure you don't want me to be putting out 15 videos a day, right? But here, finishing this one off, it says, he says, quote, this is the president, "There is no more money." Caputo said repeatedly in the recorded video, adding that Argentina needs to solve its addiction to fiscal deficits. And take a look at our fiscal deficits here within our own government. It's going to take someone to step up there and give us the dirty truth, whether we like it or not. And too many people, ladies and gentlemen, do not want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear that their Social Security's purchasing power is going to have to get cut in half in order for us to save our nation. But that's actually one of the least problems that we have. First, we have to be able to put someone in office, or put people, plural, in office that believe that our nation can be saved, instead of people that want to destroy our nation using, and I'll even talk about this really quick, using the Cloward and Piven strategy. Please look that up, ladies and gentlemen. I actually did a video on the Cloward and Piven strategy not that long ago, where I explained to you how these two professors from Columbia University back in the, I believe it was the early 60s or late 50s, came up with a strategy of overwhelming the systems of a government in order to turn it from a capitalistic government, i.e. a free nation, into a communist government, i.e. not a free nation. And it is a plan that has been at work for decades, and now it's playing itself out, and I believe that we are in the 9th inning of the Cloward and Piven strategy. They've done a great job at using the frog and boiling water strategy against us in order to implement their Cloward and Piven strategy as well. I'm not a financial advisor, but the folks at Genesis Gold Group specialize in helping those who want to diversify their excess wealth by converting their fiat currency retirement plans into a plan that is backed by real money. So if you're in a position where you are wondering what you can do in order to diversify or insulate your wealth against what I like to call the inferno of inflation, give Genesis Gold Group a call, and they can provide you with the information that you need in order to make an educated decision. Obviously, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I follow Mr. Manarino, and he's got a great YouTube channel. And the bad thing about his YouTube channel is that he's only got like 250,000 subscribers. He should have 1 million subscribers or more. Why is that? Whether you like it or not, he says it like it is. And here it says that Mr. Manarino expects a systemic meltdown followed by a whole new system. What have we been talking about for years? That they are going to do something. I don't know what that is. They're going to do something. And who's they? They are our overlords. Those who believe that they should run the world and control our daily lives every day of our life from cradle to grave. I digress again. But we've been talking about that. They're going to go ahead and do something where the system is going to go down. And then when it comes back up, they're going to implement the system that they want to implement in order to further enslave humanity. But the thing is going to be is that it's humanity who's going to ask the powers that be to implement that system that will further enslave us. That's because most people around the world now, as I'm speaking, are just keeping their heads above water. Just in the United States, you're looking at about 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. About 40% of Americans that earn six figures or more are living paycheck to paycheck. 65-70% of Americans cannot afford a $400-500 emergency, which means that if a mother of three that's going down the highway, going to her third job of the day, gets a flat tire, there it goes. She can find herself homeless in a month or two because she can't afford to have a $500 safety net in the bank account. Why? Inflation, ladies and gentlemen. This has all been planned out, whether you want to believe that or not. Now, this article is referencing Mr. Manarino's video, so if you want to check it out, go ahead and click on it right here on this article, and you'll be able to go check it out. And go ahead and subscribe, too. You won't be sorry. Mr. Manarino says it like it is, and like I said, a lot of people don't like to hear it like it is, but it is what it is. And this is what he says. The Federal Reserve is continuing to dictate to the public how to live. And that is 100% correct. As long as the Federal Reserve can dictate what money costs, it dictates what your labor costs, ladies and gentlemen. Try to wrap your head around that statement. Making them no better than the government. We are slaves to these institutions, and most Americans are still so indoctrinated that they cannot see it. These institutions are working together to destroy every single one of us. Ladies and gentlemen, can you not see that this is true? But what do we do instead? We further divide ourselves. We use religion to divide ourselves. We use ethnicity to divide ourselves. We use sex to divide ourselves. We use color to divide ourselves. And these sick people up top look at us infighting within ourselves, and they just laugh because they know that they've won. Continuing on, inflation skyrocketing all over the world is not an accident, and it's not a coincidence. Ladies and gentlemen, this couldn't be any more true. The rulers are doing it all on purpose with the sole desire to break down the entire system they set up and usher in a new one in which they can totally control every single human being on this planet. Every 4 months, ladies and gentlemen, $1 trillion is added to our national debt. People take a look at the national debt as the bellwether as to how are we doing as far as debt, but they never look at the bottom right-hand corner of the national debt clock page and take a look at our unfunded liabilities. Last time I saw was $211 trillion. They never take a look at our derivatives, which last time I saw, I believe, was over $600 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's really going to bury us, in my opinion, but we're pretty much already there the way it is now. He says that that's not an accident either, and it's fueling the inflation and the economic distress most families are feeling. I want you to be ready for this, people, he says. They're going to prop this thing up by increasing asset purchases like there's no tomorrow, and what's going to happen is going to be the exact opposite of a crash. It's going to be a boom. All right, a boom bust cycle or something like that is what they call it, where the stock market just skyrockets, right? Why? Because the dollar is so worthless. Take a look at the stock market for Venezuela and Zimbabwe. I think in the last 3 or 4 years, they were very well performing stock markets as far as percentages go. Why? Because their currencies were so devalued that it took so many more of their pesos or Zimbabwe dollars in order to buy stocks that it just skyrocketed. That's a crack up boom, I believe it's called, which is the opposite of a crash, but just as bad. Expect the stock market to skyrocket as central banks continue to buy up their debt. As long as we understand the goal of the central banks, we can be profitable until the system is taken down. They are going to take down this system in such a dramatic way, people's heads are going to spin around like the Exorcist, he added. They're going to fulfill their endgame of owning the entire world, and you will own nothing, ladies and gentlemen. He finishes it off by saying the institutions have the power to add digits to a screen and buy whatever they want, whenever they want it. They also want you in dollars, not cryptocurrencies or gold. which should also tell us something. Ladies and gentlemen, I've often stated that a fiat currency system gives all the power to the government. And when I say government, I mean central banks government. In my opinion, it's the same thing. Whereas sound money restricts the government from spending what they want when they want, and they have to spend what they need to spend with our permission, i.e. gold and silver. I'm not a financial advisor, but let me go ahead and finish it off with this before we talk about Miss Yellen here for a second. If you're not preserving your excess purchasing power or your excess wealth with gold and silver, one day, in my opinion, you're going to regret it. I'm not talking about going out there right now and buying a monster box of silver. That'd be awesome. If you can afford that, oh my goodness, that'd be awesome. I would. If I could afford to go out there right now and buy a monster box of silver, I definitely would. But slow and steady wins the race, ladies and gentlemen. Slow and steady wins the race. Go ahead and take a look at the sponsor of this video, Genesis Gold Group. And they sell silver in physical, or if you want to convert an IRA into silver and gold, you can do that too. Me, I think that if you don't hold it, you don't own it, but everyone is in a different position in their life. So give them a call. They will teach you what it is that you need to know, and you will make the decision on whether you want to do business with them or not. But I digress. Let's talk about Miss Yellen for a second. And just remember, ladies and gentlemen, that it's your fault, all right? It's your fault that we are so broke as a nation. In a way, and I know I'm going to lose some people on this statement that I'm going to make, in a way, it partially is our fault. Why? Well, the reason is because people have been voting in freebies for a very long time. And even though they see our national debt go up and up and up, they still want to vote in freebies. However, in a way, it's not our fault because we have representatives that have sold out we the people for profit. And they are doing things that they know will profit them, but that they know will not affect them because they'll be long gone, ladies and gentlemen. And they won't have to deal with it. That's why. Yellen warns that the U.S. could be held responsible. Listen to this. We can be held responsible if we don't give of our wealth. We can be held responsible for Ukraine's defeat unless Congress approves new aid package. Did you hear the one about where, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, I just heard about it. I don't think I read it somewhere, but I did hear about it in passing, where President Biden said that if they didn't approve the aid for that he was asking for $118 billion or something like that he was going to send American soldiers over there. Because you see, the president can send soldiers wherever he wants, but it's up to Congress to fund them. Isn't that sickening, ladies and gentlemen, that we have someone in office that would actually use our service members as a bargaining chip? Incredible. That's all I wanted to show about this, is how hypocritical the people that we have serving for us are, how they don't care about the American people at all. And in this case with Miss Yellen, another thing about her is that she uses the revolving door. For those of you that don't know, before Miss Yellen had this position as the Secretary of the Treasury, she actually used to have Mr. Powell, Jerome Powell's position as the Federal Reserve boss, whatever it is that they call it, chairman, I think. I hope that you got something out of this. I hope that you're having a great holiday season, ladies and gentlemen. Stay awake. Do not forget that these people are not on your side. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you're continuing to prepare. I'm going to be doing another video, maybe tomorrow or something like that, where I'm going to talk about how important it is that you prepare for at least the next 3 months, to have at least 3 months of preps. And I'm going to tell you why it's so important that you have at least, at the minimum, 3 months of preps. Having said that, have a great rest of your day. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.